What up, users? We haven't collected enough data on our audience yet to come up with an optimized introduction. So in the meantime, you guys can enjoy some possible episode titles that we're workshopping. They include Facebook Wants You Dead, Mark Zuckerberg Belongs in the Hag, Go Zuck Yourself, Never Met a Girl Edition, and my favorite, Meat and Zuck Kingdom. Let us know which one is your favorite in the comments. Just kidding, we already decided. You guys are once again listening to Super Despair World, the only podcast still made with 99% real beef, always fresh, and never responsible for crimes against humanity in Southeast Asia. We might get a little heated today, so let's start off with some ads that I think you'll like based on all this information about you guys that I bought from a third party.
First of all, Meat and Zuck Kingdom is pretty bang.
It is really good. I think we'll get in trouble for that.
What do we? Okay, all right. We'll
maybe we got to
later.
branch out to Newgrounds. It'll do really well over there.
Sure. All right. Well, anyways, getting the business out of the way here. We have a Patreon. Patreon.com/superdespairworld. You can join that for free, of course. I think as with any Patreon page, you can donate a sinister $6 to get access to all of our bonus episodes. We just released one, which I would say possibly our best. It was a real knee slap, right? I had a couple laughs editing it, let alone recording it in the first place.
It's definitely the best one until next week, and that's our promise.
Yes.
Most weeks.
there you go. And we have a $2 tip jar. You can join our Discord with that, and just toss us a couple bucks, and we'll love you for that. We also have a merch store. This is new. This is serious. We sunsetted the Project $20 tier and instead are selling stickers a la carte. You can buy them as you wish, and they're all on there. You can buy all 6 for a very special price. I worked very hard on this merch store. It was a huge pain in the ass, and it's merch.superdespairworld.com. And please go there and buy something, or else I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight and every night until somebody finally does that. And that's all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, and before we get this episode started, I know what some of you are thinking. I've read your minds, and I need to address this complaint up front. I know some of you out there are hearing all this and thinking, but wait, I really wanted to support Project $20. Well, good news. If you live outside the U.S., that's how much it'll cost to ship stickers to you. We're sorry. We have no control over that.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Even Canada, which I thought, even if I send it to Ontario or something, it can't be that much. No, it's $20 anywhere in the world outside of the U.S.
Thanks, Trudeau.
I don't. Has shipping always been this much? I mean, it's a 4x6 rigid envelope. It's pretty silly, but. Damn. I mean, the thing is, it's a flat rate, so you can get as many stickers as you want, and it's still going to be the same price. It's $5 if you live in the U.S., so it's the best we can do. If there's any shipping moguls out there, hit me up. Let me know. Dave@superdespairworld.com. I'd love to make it cheaper for you, because we're not profiting on the shipping, just the stickers.
Yeah, this is truly a big tech censorship at its worst. We have the truth, and they don't want you guys to hear it. That's why it costs that much.
Yeah, exactly. You
yeah.
gotta pay the troll toll to get in the boys' hole.
Yeah,
that's not really applicable, but
I'm sure that's of interest to some people in our audience. But yeah. Anyway, speaking of boys and their holes, can I just start off? I'm feeling very fired up and just unambiguous today, man. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg. I just really hate this human piece of shit. Fuck this dude and everything he's ever done and stands for.
Yeah, and he's been out of the spotlight lately because Elon just can't stop posting his L's and just doing the most incredibly lame and corny shit just to get everybody pointing and laughing at him. But old Marky boy, he's been he's been a little lonely. He hasn't gotten a lot of attention lately, so he's had to step up his game in multiple ways that we're going to discuss in this illustrious episode.
Yeah, today we're talking all about Facebook, and I remember there was a segment we did. I don't know if it was a main or a bonus episode where, I think it was like sometime last year there was a big hubbub about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg were gonna get into the ring with a boxing match or whatever. I remember at the time I was kind of rooting for Zuck a little bit, just because I guess Elon Musk was more annoying that week or something. But since then, a lot of things have happened about Facebook. A lot of things have come back into my memory that I've just forgotten about because I don't use Facebook. I don't use Instagram. I've just kind of pigeonholed them out of the old brain box. But Zuck is in the news again, and I thought we'd talk today a little bit about the history of Facebook and why this guy sucks and should be tried for crimes against humanity.
Oh man, Facebook. What a storied history that this wonderful website, one of the first, probably the first like really powerful social networking site. I mean, there was MySpace before that, but it was kind of like MySpace was kind of like what Facebook used to be, kind of, and it kind of stayed there, and then the dude sold it, and that was like about it. But Facebook, man, has really evolved over the years into an absolute demon form, out of control.
Yeah, ever since its conception, Facebook truly was the number one place to go on the internet to see people's faces, especially women's, and an associated number based on how much Zuck wants to fuck them.
Yeah. Did you ever have a Facebook?
I did. So I had a Facebook around, I was in high school, so this would have been around like the late 2000s to like very early 2010s or so, and I think I deleted mine like permanently sometime between like maybe like 2013 and 15. So it's been a very long time since I had one. I did used to use it in high school, and then sometime after I graduated, I was just like, man, Facebook only exists to like serve me ads and try to get me to play Farmville and connect me with like 30 people that I shared a class with a few years ago who I don't give a shit about anymore. Yeah. So I was done with it.
Yeah, so I started using Facebook, I think in 2004. I had just finished high school. I guess I'm aging myself a little bit there, but at that point, you still had to have a .edu email address to make an account. So it was, originally I think it was only for like Harvard students or wherever Zuck was from.
Yeah, one of those fucking Ivy League shitholes.
Yeah,
or
I'm pretty sure. I think it was Harvard, but who cares? Whatever. Fuck those places. And then they extended it to all the Ivy Leagues, and then they extended it to all universities. And that's when I used it. And like this, it was still very new at the time, and it was novel.
Because, it was called the Facebook back then, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It was the Facebook. There was no feed when I first used it. It was just profiles. And you could just add people, and you could post on their wall, I think. But there was no like common feed. I don't even remember what the main site looked like then. But like it was useful back then, especially being like a new college student. You make a friend or you see somebody in your class and it's like, oh, I know this person, and you add them and you can kind of like talk to them outside of class or make groups or whatever. And yeah, that was fine for a while.
Yeah, I feel like the internet prior to social media, it really felt kind of like its own self-contained thing. There's I think it was like a Twitter post or something, or maybe like a shit post somebody made at some point. I don't remember where I got this. This isn't an original idea of mine, but it was said somewhere that like the internet used to be like a physical location in your home. It was like a machine, and you sat down at a desk to use it, and when you were done, you would just log off from the machine and go back to like the real world or whatever. And in my childhood and like up through most of my teen years, that's what the internet was. It was like, okay, I go to school, I know all these people, I go home, I get on my computer, and it's like this whole other fucking world with all these like weirdos who want to show me strange things all the time, and play video games, and try to get me to click on these emails from a sad sorry prince in Nigeria who's fallen on hard times or whatever. But I think the one of the big things that really shifted all this was that Facebook really shifted was I think it was like the website that kind of started to bridge the gap between like the internet and the real world, because it kind of shunned the whole idea of like, oh, you're an anonymous person on the internet, you have a username, you can present yourself however you want. Facebook's whole deal was like, no, it has to be real people, you have to give us your real name, you have to post photos of yourself, you have to be kind of geographically tied to a specific place. I know you can theoretically meet people from all over on Facebook, but like for the most part, based on how like 99% of people use it, you're going to add your friends, you're going to add your family, you're going to add your coworkers, people like actually in your area. And I think it really started this like kind of, now in my opinion, very distressing intermeshing of like the real and digital worlds. And I don't know, I think we're going to be dealing with the consequences of this like basically forever now. I don't know if there's any putting the genie back in the bottle now that we live in this world.
Yeah, it was interesting because prior to the introduction of Facebook, we always learned like never tell anybody your real name or where you live or anything. The stranger danger adages of the early internet were all thrown out the window when it was Facebook. But like, and I'm not saying this was planned or anything like that, because I really don't think it was. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg was looking 30 years into the future and saying like, now we can de-anonymize internet users. No, he made this to like as like a catalog of people at his fucking university, because he was like an annoying weird incel and wanted to like look at people's pictures. And I think it was like I'm getting this from that the social network movie. I don't know how accurate that is, but apparently like it was supposed to be originally, or it was originally like a hot or not rating site. Where you could like look at people's pictures and it's like they're hot or they're not. Like it's like a fucking Ivy League college slam book, which just goes to show the level of maturity of these early tech bros making this amazing platform.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of gross from conception, if you ask me. I was watching a video that you recommended to me about Facebook and Zuckerberg.
Yes.
Do we want to say something about that going in? Because I do think it's worth watching if people want a much more well-researched and like thorough breakdown of the history than we're going to give today. What do you want to say about that one?
Yeah, so the video I linked you was from a YouTuber that I quite like named Tantacruel. I don't even know what the video is called now, because he's changed the name a few times, I think, for the algorithm, or just kind of like,
I'm looking in my tabs. The video is called "A History of Facebook's" in brackets Meta's Decline.
Yeah. So and Tantacruel fucking rules, and also it's a 3-hour fucking video, which hats off to anyone who not only spends the time and effort to make a 3-hour video, But it's not like 3 hours of padding and bullshit. Like it's a straight up fucking documentary. But the thing about that is I've always been like, man, that's gotta be really stressful to spend all that time and effort on like a video of like multiple hours and then put it on YouTube rather, where they can just be like, oh, you used 8 milliseconds of copyrighted audio. We're just like striking your site and demonetizing this video forever and like blacklisting it. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that's why it's so great that you guys can support us on Nebula. Subscribe to Super Despair World
someday.
Can you fucking imagine if we ever got that deal? It's not going to happen, but
yeah.
I think we fed post a little too much to be in their good graces, but regardless.
Probably. And also Nebula's for like video essayists, I think.
That's true.
But
that's true.
Maybe some podcast network someday. Probably fucking not.
No. Let's put those ideas aside. I guess the thing I wanted to say was I was watching the Tantacruel video before we started all this, and there were some telling quotes that I wrote down from different points in the video. And I know at some point Zuck is giving like a speech to like a big crowd of people. I don't remember what the event was, and he says, what does he say here? He says, our mission is to make the world more open and connected. And that just really sat with me, because I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean, dude? That means nothing. And throughout today, I think the big question, at least on my mind, is like, what the fuck is the end game of all this? Is this all just money? Is this something more nefarious and ideological? And like, what is the deal with like this really, really small group of very mediocre but very rich guys who seem to have like a disproportionate amount of influence over society through the ownership of these big fucking platforms? And I wanted to start off with Facebook, because like, I look at, I enjoyed the internet back as it was a long time ago. I often feel like, I am one of the last living elves that remember what the world was like before man came to power. And that's kind of what it's like being on the internet before all this like social media bullshit and how everything's like just like intermeshed with like the fucking real world these days. And it's just maddening. And I thought that'd be a fun thing to explore.
Yeah, it is an interesting point, because as I said before, we were always taught don't use your real name on the internet and anything like that. But like at the conception of this platform, like Facebook was, it was for social networks. But then as time goes on, and it becomes like a bigger and bigger thing, well, they need to open it up to more groups. So like I said, it was Harvard, and then it's Ivy Leagues, and then it's anybody with anybody at a university. And then I do remember when they just opened it up to anyone, there was like a big backlash to this. I mean, there was a backlash to anything where they change a site. There was a backlash to like putting a feed of posts and shit on the front page, which like now every social media website does, which it's hard to imagine that like people were like, I don't want to see like latest posts in front of me. I want to like go to everybody's specific profile and click on them and like read through them one by one. Now that's unimaginable.
Well, now you see we've moved to the next step, which was one of the big changes they brought over to Twitter was, now you're no longer seeing the newest posts by default. Now you're seeing the best posts, which what the fuck does that mean? How are those curated? What's the algorithm showing me, rather than just, an actual timeline of shit posted by the people I actually like explicitly decided to follow? And I don't know, it just feels like every day We regress a little further into things that people don't like, but are nonetheless here to stay. That's another quote from the video. Actually, it was one of the little spokespeople from Facebook. They were talking about some various changes they made, and this really sat with me. This person said, with regards to one of the changes, everyone says they hate it, but engagement doubled, and I don't think that necessarily means it's a good thing. Maybe what people do on the internet doesn't actually reflect what's in their best interest and most healthy way to interact with this bullshit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They learned along the way, and now that's why we've reached peak social media hellhole brain rot, is because now they've truly identified the fact that people tend to engage more with shit that makes them angry. So this is a negative emotion that they're playing on, and boosting shit that is divisive to make people pissed off, because then they're going to get in there and they're going to stay on the site. They're going to keep commenting. They're going to keep looking at this and go back over and over to have the same stupid ass argument with some fucking stranger over nothing. And so there's that. There's that, and then there's also the concept of, like, I don't remember when exactly Facebook, in what era that it like went public and it became like a corporation, but you see with all of these platforms is, number one, so like fundamentally what they're all trying to do is become like the homepage of the internet. They all want to be what AOL was in like the late 90s. They want to be like, this is the internet, and you can like access the outside internet, like hopefully through us, but like here we put all the stuff we want you to see, and you can interact with it that way. Like that's something that they're always looking for, and then on top of that, just in I guess related to that is just buying up other platforms. Like Facebook bought Instagram, for example, because they said, hey, that's like us, but different enough that we just wanna do that. So we'll just take that. And also, like, the funny thing about, and this is one of the reasons that we're mired in like dog shit as far as the tech industry goes, is we are in a state now where due to the fact that like antitrust laws just like didn't really apply to tech companies for like decades. They were just like, I mean, if you're like a steel company or a railroad company or something like that, antitrust all day. But when it comes to like tech, they were just like, oh no, it's cool to just like buy all your competitors and make a monopoly. That's fine.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the ultimate grift of like the entire tech sector. It's like, well, see, regulations don't apply to us because this thing we're doing, oh no, it's a brand new thing. The old rules don't apply to it. No, Uber isn't a taxi cab company. It's like a new service, so we don't have to follow those things. So Airbnb, that's not a hotel or a motel or like a tourism fucking hospitality service. No, it's this new tech thing. Don't worry about it. Just give us more money. Exactly.
And then when you have a government comprised of like 95-year-olds who don't even know what a computer is, they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, for sure, that's fine. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, I was watching some of those Senate hearings when Zuck was talking to everybody in Congress, and it's just painful to watch because like man, you have him right where you want him here, answering all these questions for the public, and just like the most inept, incapable, fucking like decaying fucking gerontocracy. Just send all these old fucking geezers out here who don't know the first thing about computers to like question the guy who's been prepared to answer like whatever people want to hear about his like shit ass tech company.
Yeah, and then he this was peak Zuck when he's like there and he's just like entire lizard personality is in full swing. He's like sweating. He's like drinking water like very awkwardly, and it's just like it's just the saddest thing to watch on both ends. It's just like incompetent geezers versus like the most robotic man on the planet. And yeah, like none of that went really well. It reminds me of like the hearings about with the CEO or whatever of TikTok when they were first proposing the TikTok ban. And that guy was much more like a normal person and definitely media trained. And but the whatever, with the Senate hearing or congressional hearing or whatever the fuck it was, where there's just these guys and like, when you turn on the Wi-Fi, it takes the internet data on my credit card and sends it to China. Am I right? And he's just like, what are you, what do you what does that mean? Like, that's not. And it's like, what? Correct me if I'm wrong.
The internet is tubes. It's a series of tubes in my phone. There are tubes in my phone.
Turn on the Wi-Fi internet, and then my heating bill goes up. What does that have to do with TikTok? Is it China making the? I need to go. My diaper needs to be changed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, either way, I don't want us to like get too deep into the weeds trying to recall the entire history of Facebook, because one, watch the Tantacruel video, two, there's a lot of fucking history about Facebook. I just want to say, I feel like, you know, to a lot of people in our audience especially, I feel like it's kind of become like common knowledge that like, okay, Facebook as a company is like, it's pretty washed up. There aren't really people like I know around my age or like a bit older, especially like any younger than me. Nobody seems like thrilled about Facebook anymore. It seems like a place where like genuine interaction goes to die, and it's just all like bots and old people and racists and people who want to like sell used car stereos that they got from unnamed sources, if you know what I mean. God bless Facebook Marketplace.
I will say though, the
Okay.
only reason that I have an account still, and I deleted my old account from when I was like, you know, in college and shit, but I made a new one just for Marketplace, because like that's the only existing local market. Craigslist unfortunately is dead. I used to use that all the time. Craigslist ruled. That's done for, and it's only Facebook Marketplace. And I would love to not have to use that, but I did get an incredible deal on some wheels for my car from there. So it's like, fuck, like whatever. I don't use it outside of that. At least,
I've never used Facebook Marketplace, but I sadly might be opening an account soon. I want to make a quick buck in the near future selling some things that I haven't used in a very long time, like a Nintendo Switch and a PlayStation 4 with Bloodborne, which you can still only play on the PlayStation 4. God damn it. But regardless, yeah, I didn't want to get too deep into the weeds just about the history. I think I wanted to talk about Zuck in particular this week because Zuck has kind of been in the news lately. He's kind of been vying for our attention once again. We are shifting the main character spotlight away from Elon Musk a little bit to talk about some things that Zuck has gotten up to. The first of which is a bit of a makeover, a bit of a rebrand, and I know you have a little something prepared for this.
Yeah, so prior to this episode, I was trying to find out a little bit more about Zuck's about Zuck's recent makeover. Because really what I want to know is like who's behind it. Does he have like a stylist? Does he have like a PR person? Like what's going on with that? And if he does, it's very hush hush because I couldn't find anything about that. But I did find a very funny article from none other than GQ, which I don't know if are you familiar with GQ, the magazine for I don't even
I'm aware that those are two letters that go next to each other sometimes.
Yeah, so like if you go to the GQ website, which I think GQ still has a print magazine. I don't know if anybody reads print magazines anymore. Probably somebody, but
I opened their website and I'm looking at the headers at the top. I see fashion. I see grooming. Somebody better contact the feds about that. That doesn't sound good. I see culture. I see watches. Do people still wear watches? I don't know. I guess some people are big watch heads.
Some people.
I think I'm getting the vibe of what kind of publication this is.
Yeah, lifestyle fit. This is like, this is. We don't need to say anything more about this, but this is a very funny article, and it's by Adam Chung. And this is from the end of September in 2024. I can't read the title of this right now because our website is so bad that it's like putting an ad over.
Yeah, I see that too. It did embed in our Discord DMs. It says Mark Zuckerberg's tech bro glow up needs to be studied ASAP. Yeah,
so this is I thought this would be like a somewhat critical article about his quote unquote glow up, but I just want to read a little excerpt from this because it's I find it to be very funny. At the Meta Connect event on Wednesday, Zuck pulled up to the stage and was immediately greeted with an uproar of clapping and cheers and whistling. If you closed your eyes for a sec, it almost sounded like a scene straight from Dries Van Notten's final show. This is some fucking fashion person, I guess. Starting from the top, his signature blonde curls were let loose, and he showed off a pair of Meta AR glasses, which, dare we say, looked almost identical to the chunky frames that Bella Hadid wore during St. Laurent's Spring-Summer 25 show earlier this week. The piece de résistance was an all-black, oversized T-shirt that was printed with the Latin phrase "aut Zucc, aut nihil" across the chest, which translates to either Zuck or nothing. Self-referential merch? Okay, we're listening.
No, you guys don't get it. It means the Bart, the... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Great reference. Great reference.
That was just what came to my mind, but good. Yeah, let's continue.
Some dark wash denim, a pair of Adidas 4D FWDX strung sneakers with a recycled knit upper and fully 3D printed midsole, and the Grail watch that is FP Journe's Centigraphe sport aluminum finished off the fit. We have to ask, is this a beginning of a real proper glow-up? Will our children be studying this in schools? Will our children's children be directing and filming Le Ciel d'Or winning documentaries about this? Because when you compare it to how he used to dress even 2 years ago, it's like night and day. You know it. We know it. And Zuckerberg definitely knows it too. And then they go on to show some video where this back in July, the 40-year-old businessman, which let's make this clear right now. This motherfucker's 40 years old. And I'm sure you've all seen his supposed glow up where he looks like, and also I noticed from this terrible like, I don't know, what is it, an Instagram reel or whatever they call it. He now like talks like, I feel like he's been like hanging out with Jake Paul for like a couple months.
Yeah, I kind of get that vibe too. I know when I saw, I think it was on the Joe Rogan show when he appeared on there, just like the outfit he's wearing, it's kind of like like 15-year-old like fuck boy. Like these are the guys responsible for why the changing rooms and the gym smells that way back in high school. This evokes like a very particular image of like a guy who is significantly younger than 40 just being like the most annoying piece of shit I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, so in the video on Instagram, he's like just generating AI images of himself. And the first one he does is imagine me as a gladiator, which is like, okay, yeah, that's a choice.
I can think of some Coliseum-based situations I would love to see Zuck in. So I'm open to this.
Yeah, for sure. And I can see some people with certain profile pictures that look like that are really cool people with some definite opinions. There's one more paragraph I want to read where it says, sure, it sounded like a joke, and they're talking about like him looking at a picture of himself as like a LA fashion designer. He just looks like a douchebag in like a boutique store that his fucking parents paid for. So it sounded like a joke, but he wasn't exactly lying either. In an interview with The Verge, Mark Zuckerberg announced that Meta will be investing heavily in eyewear brand EssilorLuxottica. The company has been pouring millions and millions into wearables lately, so it wasn't really that shocking. But who did EssilorLuxottica just acquire? Supreme. So while a Zuck-Preme collab hasn't been announced just yet, we wouldn't rule it out.
I swear to God, EssilorLuxottica sounds like a venereal disease you would pick up at like Epstein's Island.
Okay, so like this article inflicted considerable psychic damage on me.
This article has more fucking glaze than a Dunkin' Donuts, dude.
Oh God! So there's a ton of shit to unpack from this. Did you look at the article? Did you have that? Do you have that?
I do have it open.
Right
I've been keeping up as you've been reading it.
Yeah. So the picture of him with the glasses on is that's just peak like fucking douchebag.
Those glasses almost look like wasn't it fucking Sam Hyde that had some like round little glasses that make his eyeballs look absolutely huge? Am I going crazy? Do you know what I'm talking about? It looks kind of like that.
Yeah, the Coke bottle ones.
A little bit, or like what's his name? Bubbles from the Trailer Park
Yeah,
Boys.
yeah.
Except like douchier.
yeah, and that like because I've seen people wear these quote unquote chunky frames, and it's like these are glasses that like in the 90s, if you wore them, they'd be like, oh, this dude has like a vision disorder, so let's make fun of him. It's like orthopedic shoes. And they like apparently they're fashionable just if some like pretentious douchebag in Italy makes them and sells them for $10,000. But
yeah, real super despair world lore heads will know this is a very like Bill House coded fucking fit right here. This photo of him just looking absolutely stunned by, I don't even know what he's looking at. It looks just such a goofy photo in an article that's like meant to glaze the shit out of him. I don't know why. That's just not a flattering angle of that photo.
It's so weird, and it makes me think like I mean, I know like high fashion people, probably including Adam Chung, are just like brain rotted to the core, because like this kind of fashion, just the fact that this dude drops like 7 names of like fucking fashion icons or designers or brands throughout this just goes to show like how these people are just they're mired in this just like love of just famous people and brands, and consumerism is just it's just shit. And like if you look at Zuck's fashion and his fits, it's like, man, this guy has all the money in the world and he still just wears fucking lame ass shit. But
it's just utterly inconceivable to me that there would be like an annoying man on the internet obsessed with fashion. Like, can you imagine anybody like that? I can't.
Yeah, it would be weird. It would be weird. And the more rich that they get, the more insufferable that they get about it. It's kind of like it's like a midlife crisis. So
a little bit, yeah. I don't know. It needs to be said. One of my number one complaints, like putting aside all ethics and like politics and like ideology, man, rich people genuinely just have like the worst taste in fucking everything. There has to be like some kind of like inverse ratio of like the more money you have, the more like fucking just like dog shit all your favorite things end up being. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, especially like new rich. Like you see what they spend all their money on, and it's like the wackest shit, because like they don't have any taste, but they have money, so they're just kind of like, oh, this is expensive, so it must be good. Which is like I don't know how, like, I'm sure all these designers sniff their own farts as well, but like they've got to know deep down at the same time that like their clientele are a bunch of rubes, and if they have name recognition, they can just like make a piece of dog shit, slap a $50,000 price tag on it, and then put their name on it, and they'll just be like, oh, we have the new Zuck Preem.
Yeah, it just reminds me of all the people, or like the fashion brands or whatever, they'll put out like, here's a plain black t-shirt, it costs $500. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think it's just a market for suckers from the top to the bottom. I'm looking at this article, and I feel like we've kind of glanced over this. I really want to hear from you. How do we feel about this one photo of Zuck where he's wearing like 3 oversized gold chains? How do we feel about this?
That's his hilarious meta AI thing. Where, like,
I think I see it now. This is not a real photo. His jawline does not look like that.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy. I don't know. Like, for one, I would expect a very different result if I'm typing in Mark Zuckerberg and chains. Like, this is not how I want to see it. I have something else in mind. But
Exactly. And well, there's another thing that we didn't bring up is, so he has this shirt on that he apparently designed, that says in German, either Zuck or nothing, and this fucking moron goes on to self-referential merch. Okay, we're listening. Which, like, holy fucking shit, man. Oh god, like,
is that supposed to be a hard choice? Because I am so down for nothing. Can we choose nothing? I'd like to pick nothing.
Yeah. And well, I also wanted to mention, like, okay, to be clear, the German language has existed before and after the Third Reich, and I'm not saying anything with German words on it is, adjacent to, like, Nazism or something. However, when it's created by a person who recently not only said, like, we're not policing hate speech on my shitty platform anymore, but created a roadmap on, like, here's things you can say that are not unallowed anymore. All trans people are mentally ill. For example, that's an okay thing to say. Another okay thing
I will say all the trans people I know are mentally ill, but not because of that, okay? You can't say it like that.
Right. Exactly. It's it's for other reasons.
Right.
But like that kind of struck me there, and now he's pouring money into fashion shit because it's just like boomers who, like, kind of run out of things to do, and then they just have, like, a new hyperfixation with their, like, retirement money that they just, like, so now they're suddenly into, like, woodworking and they make that their entire identity, which like woodworking is cool, like that's fine.
Yeah,
if you're spending
but then
all your money and
but then you see it with somebody like George Bush Jr., who I guess he felt really bad about the war or something, so now he makes a bunch of like shit ass paintings or whatever with Ellen DeGeneres or whatever.
Yeah, right. Or a guy like Tucker Carlson, who feels bad about the fact that he's like one of the most soy people on the planet, but postures about masculinity all the time. So he like built like a fake woodworking shop, and then like wears a flannel and like pretends to be, you know, like a blue collar fucking work with his hands.
Oh yeah, like back
guy.
when fucking Ben Shapiro started working out, and he went to like Home Depot and bought like one 2x4.
And he bought one 2x4 and like put it in a fucking in like a tiny bag.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was great. That was great. I love these guys. They just can't like just be quiet and accept.
It's genuinely like a oh, I'm trying to be down to earth and working class, and then you pull out like a dainty little fork and knife to eat some like takeout pizza or whatever, you know. It's like you're giving the game away.
I don't want to get my hands dirty. I might get grease on them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's important because I wanted to talk about Zuck because he's been in the news lately. You guys have no doubt heard by now because one, this is not a weekly news show, so this is maybe, I guess, old news by the time you're hearing it, but one of the most exhausting things about the last couple days ever since Trump's inauguration has been this. It seems like a complete like consolidation of all the major social media companies in the fucking US and I guess around the world are just like lining up on their knees ready to fucking kiss the ring and like signal their allegiance and full approval of like the what's to come in the next couple years, and just really cozy up to the incoming administration. I think, you know, there's something to be said about is Zuck just doing this because Trump was mad at him for like fact checking all those years ago and said he would like throw Zuck in like a jail cell or something about that? I don't know. That's possible. But at the same time, I feel like we're really seeing now this like insane just like melting down of all this pretense. Like, no, the internet is like free and open, and it's all just about being more open and connecting people and just like celebrating ideas and discourse. Like, no, we just live now in this state where all these websites still try to have this like veneer or whatever of like, no, it's all good, this is normal or whatever, but everything is just about, it's all just like effectively state media now. And I think you can really see that and just how like insincere and like hollow this like pathetic rebrand seems to be.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's they're all pledging fealty to the king now. And I don't think Elon is fucking deranged, and I think he really does. His motivation is a little bit different, because I really don't think he cares about like money and business and industry and like the growth of his businesses as much as he just wants to like be a guy who people like and respect, which is fucking pathetic.
Well, on some level, I think Musk just wants a friend. I think he just wants to hang out with Trump and be buddies. He's the first buddy of the United States.
And it's funny because Trump clearly like does not like this dude, and he's like he has to hang out with him because like Peter Thiel was like, you have to hang out with this dude.
Yeah, Peter Thiel, notable early investor in Facebook, by the way. I think that's an important thing. One thing I got out of the Tantacruel video was apparently Peter Thiel, he's one of the first people that gave Zuck this lesson about like, you need to own the company entirely. You need to do all this like fucking shell game shenanigans where you buy up things to control the company entirely, because there's no removing Zuck from Facebook. He is not like beholden to like a board of directors. He's just there at the top of the company, one of the most like influential people in the world who is in charge of this company, responsible for sometimes like 100% of fucking communications in like some of these like the most impoverished countries out there. And it's just fucked up, you know. It seems seems insane that one person has all this like outsized influence over the world and can come up with these bizarre changes to like a site like Facebook's policies just on a whim, just depending on what he's been feeling lately. Just felt like doing a little rebrand, having some more masculine energy, which I guess the entire world needs to put up with now.
Yeah. The masculine energy is funny because it's like, number one, okay, dude, you worked out for a little while, like, good for you. And you do jujitsu, which is like, it's just like, man, it really sucks because like I think jujitsu is great. I think jujitsu is a really great martial art. It's awesome. I would still recommend anybody who's interested in that. It's a great fighting art. It's practical. It's a good workout, and just like any kind of like activity like that, you can probably meet a lot of cool people and have a good time, like better yourself. It really sucks that jiu-jitsu specifically has just been co-opted by the most annoying, just like fucking fake masculinity, just like douchebags all over the Joe Rogan sphere, and they just can't stop like making this cool martial art their platform to I don't know, like postures, like big tough guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know shit about fighting, but ever since I heard, he got really into jujitsu, he got really into bow hunting pigs in Hawaii or something. It just strikes me as the most like, and I know we've talked about this in private before. It's like a really bad habit that some people have where they'll pick up like a hobby on a whim or something, and it's like, oh wow, this is really cool. I've done it for 5 minutes. I need to plan my entire life around this now. Like, I do not for 1 second believe that like he's like genuinely into these things as more than like he picked this up on a weekend and feels like cool and manly, so now he's gonna like lean into, I don't know, it just seems very hollow and vapid to me.
For sure. And when you're a billionaire of note, you can just get like the most elite trainers to, spend as much time with you as they want, or as you want, and then suddenly you can say, oh, I'm like a master at this because I pay for the time of these people to just like make me cool, and now I'm an elite warrior. Because,
this is gonna seem a little out of left field, but have you ever been like standing on like a street corner, like ready to cross the street, maybe waiting for your turn to do that, and someone's next to you, and you just get like a stray thought in your head, like, man, I could push this person into traffic right now, and they couldn't do anything about it. Do you ever think things like that?
Oh, without question. That's actually a normal thing, the intrusive thoughts. But it's like, I mean, it is like interesting to think about. Of just like, I don't know, like I've been driving my car and it's like, if I turn the steering wheel 20 degrees to the left, I'll just like plow into like a shit ton of people. Like,
yeah,
like I'm not gonna do that. That's a bad idea,
right?
But
we don't advocate for that.
that it is interesting to think about with this tiny amount of effort. I could like absolutely like cause absolute mayhem.
Exactly, and it just gets me thinking, like, man, can you imagine being like the martial arts teacher to all these like rich ass like tech guy billionaires or whatever, and just like you go in, you check in to work for the day, and it's like you've got this motherfucker in a headlock, and like, do you think they get these like invasive thoughts like, I could rewrite history right now, I could change the course of the entire world with like one flex of my muscle, you know what I mean?
That's a good point. I never thought about that, but like
that's gotta be I mean, I'm sure like you would get the book thrown at you, like they have a lot of money,
surely.
Even their relatives or whatever, but like, I don't know. Again, I don't advocate for this. I'm sure there's nobody in our audience who has such a job, and if there was, don't do that. Don't do anything.
Don't let the dark thoughts win ever.
Right. Never give in. We have to do things by the book, and that means no doing anything until we build that ziggurat.
Right. And look at for example, Luigi Mangione, who let the thoughts win, who is universally reviled by all people on the planet.
Well, he let the thoughts win, allegedly. He'll have his day in court.
True.
It's not proven yet, technically, in a court of law.
Yeah. And may the system of checks and balances find the absolute truth of this man. Because,
I have so much faith in our democracy and court system.
Rule of law. It's
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just maybe to get us back on track a little bit. I look at like the changes rolled out on Facebook, and some of them are just like utterly insane. Like you brought up the list of here's an explicit list of things you weren't allowed to say before that you are allowed to say now. And I went down this list before, and it just got me thinking, like, can you imagine saying any of these things like on Facebook, but you replace like, say, trans people or Mexicans or immigrants with like billionaires, and like just see how long that is allowed to stay up there. I don't know, that's a crazy thought.
Exactly. Go on Facebook and say, hey, we should exterminate the white race, and see how long that stays up, as opposed to, you know, the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Or post it on X.com, the everything app, and get a response from Elon Musk himself saying, very concerning. Do you believe these lies? or however he phrases it. Yeah. I don't know. It's just absolutely whack to me that, I don't know, I think, let me pull the brakes here a little bit. I spend all these years like learning things on the internet, like watching different like video essays and catching up with politics and all these things, and, you know, being a fairly left-leaning person, I think we like to believe, you know, right, that society has like, okay, there are all these systems and history is important, and like we can infer things about the future based on like the past and material conditions and sociology and blah blah blah. All these things matter. But I don't know. I feel that belief, that mechanism for explaining the world, I feel like it's constantly challenged every time I hop on the internet these days, because it increasingly feels like not only is everything going on at the whims and discretions of like a few like individual really like rich powerful guys, but it's also like they're not just like random fucking billionaires in the shadows anymore. Now they want to have like social media followings. They want to be influencers. Zuckerberg wants to be a fucking brand now, and it's just so sad and pathetic and annoying. And I don't know, it just really frustrates me. Like, to quote a very wise man, maybe, you know, no one man should have all that power. That's a bar from Kanye West, somebody who's famously never used his influence to put bad ideas out into the world. But I think, you know, it still rings true. I think there's some wisdom in those particular words, and I don't know, everything about this just kind of disgusts me on a visceral level.
Well, I mean, that's a thing. If you look at like human society as a whole, like throughout history and prehistory,
makes me feel like a joke. It's all just a joke.
It only works when there's like balance, when one system or group or something can't get out of control. And the internet worked for a while because there was a semblance of balance, and of course there were a lot of people vying for, you know, like as much control over the entire landscape of the internet as possible. But now we're really seeing the consolidation of power into a few hands, and this is a crazy observation that I've had is they all suck. They're all like really bad.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of without exception. Maybe to pull things back and look at the old internet, right? There's always been this idea of like social capital, and some people are just going to draw a lot of attention to themselves in a lot of ways. I've been thinking earlier this week, like, oh, hey, maybe there's a possibility that like all these like social media websites becoming so shitty, maybe, in some small corners of the internet, this will be the onus to return to like internet forums for like a few like small niche communities or whatever and things like that. And it's got me thinking, like, okay, I look back at the internet forums back when I was a young person. You look at something like 4chan. Okay, that was, I don't think the person who ran it for so many years, Moot, is a great person either. Or you look at one of the big ones, like Something Awful, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
The guy
Yeah.
who owned Something Awful, again, not a great person.
No.
But at the same time, like, these were just like random people who were like elevated for better or worse by their own efforts to be in charge of a little corner of the world. But now you look at people like Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and whoever is in charge of like TikTok nowadays, because TikTok has also had some crazy algorithm changes in the past couple days as well, and the whole like alert to like hundreds of millions of people, oh, thanks President Trump for fixing that whole mess, we can put our website back online now after
Kiss
taking
the
it
rings,
down
baby.
for
Kiss
20
the
minutes.
rings. You gotta pledge fealty to the king. And it's so funny too, because like the tech industry used to be they used to be loyal to the Democrats, and that's really all the Dems had. Maybe some like banks or some shit on top of that, because the Republicans, they were in the pockets of oil and gas and all
and
all of
weapons
these
dealers and like
yeah,
all
yeah,
the neocon
the
bullshit.
real. Yeah, the real powerhouses of the American economy. But the Dems had tech, and that was huge. I mean, that's like a really good person to have in your pocket. But the Democrats, as they always do, fumble the bag on that one. And they're too busy, like thinking up quirky sayings and thinking about like how like gun control in Pennsylvania or whatever incredibly important thing that we need to think about. And then they were all just like, oh, we'll just go over here and cozy up with this dude who's like incredibly sympathetic to what we want, which is just like complete control over everything with no regulations whatsoever.
Yeah, and I was saying earlier the point about the people who owned communities in the past, like Moot or whoever it was that owned Something Awful. His name is slipping my mind. These people, I think
Low
they
tax.
suck too. Low tax, right?
Yeah.
I think these people suck too. I don't think they're like moral paragons or anything, but they actually had skin in the game. They actually used their own product for better or worse.
Sure.
But now you look at somebody like Elon Musk, and like, let's not kid ourselves that this guy got here like on his own merits or whatever. Elon Musk is basically like the world's biggest fucking like welfare queen. Like, all of his money comes from like government contracts that he gets paid to do all these projects that we just aren't willing to invest like actual infrastructure money into. And it's just, I don't know, it's this like fucked up marriage between like the tech sector and like all these older businesses like the fucking arms manufacturers and like the traditional print media and broadcasting and all this other bullshit. And I don't know, it's just really repulsive in a lot of ways. It feels like a complete consolidation of like all the industries and mechanisms of power are now just like broadcasting their ideology of choice like front and center. And it's, I don't know, it gets a little overwhelming. It kind of feels like we're already several months into the year and it's not even the end of January.
I mean, it's going too crazy too fast. The first thing I wanted to say is Elon with that like the welfare queen thing. He was one of the biggest beneficiaries of like California welfare shit. all the tax credits and all the shit to all of his businesses and whatever, which comes out of, if not California, then just like federal shit, anywhere you are in the States. Like, that came out of your pocket to fund his fucking bullshit businesses. And then he turns around and says, oh, California sucks because it's like woke and they regulate things too much. I'm going to go move to Texas. And it's like, it's so annoying. It's so frustrating, man. Like, and I know Elon is a fucking moron. Like, let's not kid ourselves here, but
no, you don't get it. He's neurodivergent. He just had an awkward hand gesture. Oh.
Yeah. So we saw that too. The Nazi salute and the cope with that one was pretty funny.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that too long, but like, what else is there to say that like, oh, it's not a Nazi salute. It's not a Nazi salute. Meanwhile, you go on X.com, the everything app, and all the Nazis over there are like, wow, it's so base that he did our salute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And then, and he's making like corny Nazi dad jokes on there, like, I did not see that coming. Ha 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 ha. Like,
wow, thanks for the gold, kind stranger.
Boomer laughing emote on top of it, like, oh my god,
up dudes to the left. I'm sorry.
He's so corny. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, just
brilliant gambit, sir.
Yeah, politics and gross things aside, what he should really be tried in an international court of law for is just being like the corniest dude on the planet. Like, it's bizarre how cringy. It's almost like inhuman. And I mean that tracks, I guess, but I've never seen someone just like so bad at trying to be a human being. And I mean, we're talking about Zuck here, and like, man, I thought he was bad at that, but at least I don't know, at least he got a better haircut, I guess, depending on your views on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we need to find another hair specialized glazer to get on top of this. Write some really groundbreaking articles on GQ magazine.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's better than his like 5-year-old bowl cut, high and tight type of thing he had before. Very very unflattering to his face shape and big nose, and I say that from somebody with a similar face shape and also a big nose. So I'm not body shaming Zuck. I'm just questioning his choice of style for the last 25 years.
Yeah, if you're interested in learning more, go on to X.com, the everything app, and search Zuckerberg big nose.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to wrap this up. I feel like I think that we started out trying to be very informative about this episode, but I just feel so much like unbridled rage that I don't know where else to take it. I think I was looking up various articles just to get a little like a little research in for this episode, and I remember one of them started with something like Mark Zuckerberg thinks Facebook needs some more masculine energy. Could he be right? And I'm just like, why do we have to like humor these people at every fucking turn? Just like drop all this like pretense that these people have like good ideas, or that we need to pay attention to them for any reason other than they have like an undue amount of like money and capital and like political control that like nobody fucking elected them into having in the first place. It just, I don't know, it revolts me on every level. And I think, you know, we've talked before about this idea of like the dead internet theory, and maybe that's what we'll call this episode. And I just look at all the things that have gone on Facebook over time, how it's kind of like grown to encapsulate more and more of the internet. You can use Facebook to log into fucking everything nowadays. They've got like shadow profiles collecting data on people who don't even ever sign up for Facebook in the first place. You know, they do all this shit. what was their service? They've got like a Facebook Lite service that you can get in like third world developing countries where like that's literally the only part of the internet you can access at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just, I think it's fucked up that we let anybody, have this much money and this much power and like this much say over the entire world. I just look at like, I think in a lot of ways I was shaped entirely as a person by like all the joyful, genuine, organic things I experienced on, the original internet, which was made by like real people who, oftentimes maybe they're just like a fucking like cartoon picture with like a silly username or something, and they still manage to make a difference. Some people, I respect the hell out of people who find huge success doing exactly what they want to do, and they still have a pretty good degree of anonymity, like fucking like Toby Fox or whatever, the guy who did Undertale and so many other things. And it's just like, I think the internet is just hostile towards this nowadays, and I blame Facebook for a lot of it. Everything is just about giving up more of your data and your identity and your rights and your money through taxes or like through subscriptions, fees or whatever to fucking assholes like Zuckerberg. And I don't know, I think maybe this episode is just a much needed vent about how shit the world is at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And I love how all of these tech bro billionaires are all libertarians now, and they're all into this idea of like a self-made and meritocracy and all this shit, when the entire foundation of what they built their riches on is the internet, which was made by government. And all their servers are running Linux, which is an open source project maintained by a bunch of like unpaid people who just do it for the love of the game, and then they profit off of this, and they claim all of the credit for their like absolute fucking dog shit platforms. And I'm not saying like Facebook or Instagram or whatever, or even Twitter were not like cool and interesting and like in some ways groundbreaking when they came up. But what all of these platforms, what they are now is fucking shit. It is garbage. It is a mere shell of its former self with no authenticity, very, very little utility or value. It's really just there to waste your time, fuck your brain up, mislead you in a bunch of different ways, and then collect and sell your data to advertisers. Because at the end of the day, all of these social media platforms that you're on are just advertising companies. That's it. Including Google. When you're on there, they're just collecting your data and selling it to people to sell you fucking garbage that you don't want and you don't need. So be cognizant of this. Even better, stop using as much of this fucking garbage as you possibly can. If you're still on Facebook in 2025, stop doing that. Like, really, really stop doing that. We've all heard my spiel about X.com. The excuses have dried up at this point. If you're still on there, you have a problem. Instagram, all this shit, like, just stop using it, even for a little while. Take it off your phone for a fucking week. You'll be surprised how good you feel afterwards. These serve no good value to you.
Yeah, and we mean it about taking it off your phone. I will admit, fully upfront here, no bullshit. I have a bad habit with like the fucking muscle memory. Sometimes I'll just like go through the routine. I will open a new browser tab. I will check one of the 3 websites I'm on all day. I will scroll a little bit. I will close that tab and I'll immediately open a new one and do the same thing. One of the things I had to do, shameful as it may be, to wean off of X.com, the everything app, and onto Bluesky instead, was I deleted X off of my phone. and I replaced it with the bluesky app in exactly the same spot so that I don't have to retrain my muscle memory. But and maybe that's still not great either, but it's at least less of a dog shit site than what we're dealing with.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, small steps. That reminds me of like 10 plus years ago when I was still using Facebook. I remember like I deleted it off of the like menu bar from whatever browser that I was using. And so I was like, oh, I'll stop like instinctively clicking Facebook. And then I found myself opening a new browser tab or window or whatever, and I would like instinctively just start typing like FA for the autocomplete, and it was just like, oh Jesus, I wasn't even trying to go on here.
Oh, I do that all the time with so many websites. Even though I have the little browser extension, it's like a speed dial. Oh, here are all the buttons that I set to go to websites automatically. I'm still typing the first one or two letters. Maybe that's an age thing. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's just as efficient, but
yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this before in various contexts, but like, I'm not saying, well, I mean, I am saying get off this shit, but like, the step number one is just be cognizant of your relationship with these things. That's really the first thing you can do. All right, you take out your phone and instinctively hit the icon for X.com, the everything app. Okay, do that, but like realize that you're doing it. Don't just be on autopilot. And this extends to a lot of avenues of life, but especially when it comes to this, because like I really think this kind of mindless social media consumption is, like if you want to have a problem, go start drinking alcohol, or
yeah, that's advice from the show, by the way. We condone this.
I don't know. At least alcoholics are interesting, but people who just lay in their fucking bed scrolling Instagram all day, like that's you don't even have any good story. Like alcoholics have good stories, even if they're negative. But like, is that how you want to live your life? Just rotting in bed, scrolling mindlessly? Because like, I guarantee you, and I speak from experience, you're not having a good time. You're not having a good time. You're not fulfilled. You're not like experiencing euphoria. You're just like you're a zombie in that state, and it's fucking weird and it's bad.
You are one of the apes hooked up to the Skinner box, just pressing the button to get a little stimulus or whatever.
Exactly, and that's like it. Not even joking. Like that's if you see yourself as that, it's kind of like it's like a cucked way of being. Like you're truly doing what these ghouls want you to do, is to just be like locked into this shit site, looking at dumb garbage, half of the time getting mad about it, and that's it. And that's it. That's I don't know. Think about being on your deathbed. You're gonna look back and say, "Oh man, some good times."
I wish I spent more time scrolling. I wish I spent more time arguing with people in the comment sections.
Yeah, I really owned that chud with my zinger replies on X. It's gonna go.
Can you imagine
mode
be sitting there on your deathbed, ready to pass away, and you just think, "Yeah, I gave enough money to Super Despair World. I had more money, but I gave them no." Nobody's going to think that. You can always give us more.
Exactly. And if you want to feel good about your life on your deathbed, consider joining the Patreon on a paid tier, or hit up the merch store. Like I said, I spent a lot of time on that, a lot of effort. and it works swimmingly. I promise you.
Are we ready to wrap up? I do have one or two more quick things. I don't want to drag it out too much, but
go for it. Go for it.
The first thing I want to say, just, maybe at the end of the day, right? I look at Facebook/Meta as a company, and we have to reckon with the fact that, like, this is a company that has not had a good idea in like 10 fucking years, right? You look at something oh, they got really big into the metaverse, right? They renamed the entire company for the metaverse. Oh, this was going to be the next big thing, and it fucking wasn't. We make all these changes to Facebook. Oh, it's getting better. It's not. Oh, we're going to make all these like fake AI accounts that are just like real people, and they'll just interact with you on Facebook all the time.
Insane.
Nobody wants this. And, in spite of, I think everybody can agree, Facebook has gone to shit. Nobody actually enjoys being on there anymore. It's like a fucking like cancerous fucking tumor on the entire internet. And in spite of everybody hating it, engagement has doubled. It's more profitable than ever, and something about that is just, I don't know, it's fucked up, and we need to do something about it. The other thing I wanted to wrap up on, and maybe, I don't know, maybe this will be a little too radical for some people on the internet. I think I'm still workshopping like the nuances of this idea I have floating around, but I'm starting to come around to this idea that I think advertising is just like inherently like unethical and fucked up, and I resent that it exists at all. There's something about this fact that if you have money, you can just like post advertisements, and like against people's will, like your consent is never a part of the process. You can just make people see things and hear things and think about things, and if you have a lot of money, you can do this a lot. And we all like to think, oh no, I'm a free thinker, oh I'm an independent person, I am immune to propaganda. No, you're not. It feels like all advertising, and that's what all these services run on. They want your data so that they can advertise more bullshit to you and learn how to better manipulate you. And that's what advertisement is. It's just a fucking manipulation to get you to do or buy something that you wouldn't have done otherwise. And I think now we're seeing this seems like the end game of the internet, right? Where it's all just we've gotten as much wealth as we can out of advertising, and we still want more. So now it's all just a funnel into a really dark place where everything exists to just give more money and more power and more attention to these fucking assholes who frankly don't deserve any of it. And I don't necessarily know what to do about it right now. I mean, getting off of these websites is certainly a good first step, but I feel like with the way things are, and especially in the last couple days, looking at the administration before us, I'm starting to feel like, these people are kind of beyond reproach. It feels like there's nothing we can really do to adequately like take control back over these people who shape the world and influence it and turn it into something that nobody wants, in spite of engagement being doubled. And I don't know. I wish I had a more eloquent way to wrap up the show, but I think I'm just so torn apart by my frustration and rage with this stuff that I think I just need a good little vent session today. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, so to your previous point, yes, advertising is like inherently non-consensual, and it's always been that way. But like, if you look back to like, oh, here's like a billboard, and it's like, hey, buy the Sears fucking hair clippers. They're a quality product that will make you happy, and it's like a nice picture of like a family using them. Can I bring
the mood up a little bit? And since you mentioned billboards, I do want to share a funny story.
Yes.
So I used to commute from my hometown to one town over to go to the first university I went to, and it was a little stretch of highway. I had to go through some farms or whatever, and I remember for most of my life, I don't know if it's still there because I haven't been there in quite a few years, but for most of my life there was a farm by the highway. It was kind of on top of a little hill right next to Canada Highway 1. Look up where I live. I don't give a shit. And this sign, it was clearly on the farmer's property, right? It was like he put up this sign. It was like a big billboard size sign put on like the slope of the hill, and it said choose life, like an anti-abortion sort of thing. It just said the words choose life. Yeah. And I still remember, it was untouched for most of my life, but then when I started going to college, somebody had vandalized the choose life sign with the words do anal instead underneath it, and that really lightened my day. Maybe that's what we need to do. We need to reclaim our fucking periphery of vision like that.
Yes. Well, I think that's a good point too, because like so yeah, like when it comes to advertising, especially with all these monoliths now, it's not even like direct shit like that. It's very sinister, very like weird. They're stealing your data, they're selling it to people, all this type of shit. And like, number one, the obvious thing is like,
that's why you should get NordVPN. Use super disparable discount code. No, we're not doing that.
Well, number one, use a fucking ad blocker. Let's start with that. But also like so when it comes to like the shitty nature of like living in a country or a society with like bad political and economic systems which you don't like, it's really hard to escape that. Everybody has to live somewhere. You have to pay taxes even if you don't agree with where they're going, or you have to work in a job of some sort, like to survive. But like, you do have a choice here when it comes to these platforms, and on top of that, you have a choice in like how they affect you. Like, are you seeing ads all the time? There are ways to make that not a thing. Are they tracking your data? There's also ways to get around that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, use the internet and what vestiges of it still exist, to find out how to do that. We're not going to tell you how to do that. You are a smart person. Figure out how to get around this shit, and then get away from the bullshit on top of that.
Yeah, go ask Grok how to avoid advertisement on the internet.
The funny thing is, Grok would probably tell you, like, to its own detriment.
That is true. I don't know. At the end of the day, all this technology sucks. I hate the people behind it, and I'm kind of, maybe this is cope on my part, but I'm kind of hoping that things are about to get so bad so quickly that I hope the entire house of cards comes crashing down. I feel like whatever we're living through at the moment, as much as it feels like 2016 is fucking eternal and we're never getting out of this like global cultural malaise that we've been stuck in for the last 9 years or so, it's like, I don't know. I have to, on some level, just to be able to get out of bed in the morning, I have to believe that nothing is permanent, and all this stuff will this too shall pass. You know what I mean? And I don't know, guys, keep your head up. Get off these websites. Keep subscribing to our show, and we will and watch as we descend into gradually less and less subtle Fed posting about people we don't like.
Well, I will end on this, and in relation to your previous point, it's like this kind of cultural malaise has been going on since like the 90s. In the 90s, it was like, people are kind of just like, man, like, life is boring and it sucks, and like my destiny is to work like some middling office job until I die. And then like economically things got more and more like unstable, and then multiple like economic crashes and shit like that. And I really do think we've been kind of like spiraling faster and faster to a breaking point where like there's a sense of nihilism right now, which is different than that which existed in the 90s, where like in the 90s it was just like, my nightmares become true. I have like a salaried office job, which is whatever, and I'm just living like a boring life.
It's like it's like watching The Matrix. Look at this dystopian hell world where everybody
Right.
works in an office and gets paid, and there are still restaurants, and you can
Right,
go
and now we
home
don't
to
even
your
have
apartment.
that. Now we don't
Yeah.
even have that. So like, there are people, a lot of people like holding on to this fucking idea that that even that exists. But like, it's just getting worse and worse, and all of these people who are pulling the strings are so out of touch that they're going to keep fucking around until they find out. And I think we are going to see this in our lifetimes, and it might be pretty chaotic for a while, but I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be all right. We gotta, kind of gotta refresh the old world. It's
Yeah,
gotta
maybe
it's gotta happen.
water the tree of liberty with the blood of patriots. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
American.
yeah.
I don't know what that means. It's not my history. Don't quote me. I'm just a silly foreigner.
Yeah, something like that. But until then, number one, I want to be very clear about this. Don't lie down and rot until the reckoning happens. If you think that's gonna happen, live your goddamn life as best as you can every day, because who knows when that's gonna happen. And number two, don't be a doomer. We've said this a bunch of times before. Don't fall into the fucking doomer pit. Do your thing. The sun still shines. The flowers still bloom. Not here right now. It's fucking snowing right now. So
It's snowed a lot where I live too, but somewhere they're blooming somewhere.
They're blooming somewhere, and snow is good. Look at it out of your window. Maybe throw a snowball at a passerby. Have a little laugh.
Yeah, treat it as practice for later.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe this will be the note to end on. I think I've had a good little vent session today. I think I needed to get this off my chest because I need to follow my own advice. I think I look at how everything has been over the last week or so, and I try to think, I'm good at curating my social media feed. I have a whole list of things I've muted on Bluesky. I'm just there to post art and talk about silly little board games or whatever, and yet I still deal with a lot of it. And I don't blame any of my peers for really going through it this week. I know some people are taking it much harder than others, but I don't think anybody is completely immune to dooming all the time. But I think if it's any comfort, as bad as things seem right now, you have to remember that I think the purpose of a lot of the things we're seeing now, the changes to Facebook, you can now say all these things about groups of people, blah blah blah. There's a purpose to these things, and that purpose is largely to intimidate you. It's just a big show of hot air, and it sucks, and we have more material concerns like all these things about making it harder to get HRT and hormones and shit if you're a trans person. That sucks too. I know I've seen a lot of people post messages like, hey, if you get selected to do an anonymous government survey about the whole queer thing, don't fucking do it. Don't fill out those questionnaires. They don't need to know. I don't know. It's just a lot of this stuff is this constant deluge of headlines. It's meant to exhaust you. It's meant to terrify you. It's meant to make you feel like you can't do anything. And sometimes it does feel that way, but in lieu of anything else, you can unplug from these platforms, at least temporarily, if not permanently, if you're able to. And I think that's a good start. There are things we have control over, there are things we don't, and you are not going to prepare for anything better by like constantly subjecting yourself to all these like miserable fucking headlines about the newest stupid fucking thing, the newest epic troll that Elon Musk pulled in front of a crowd today. Because like, do I ultimately care that he did like a stupid little Nazi salute in front of a crowd of people? No, it's just meant to rile you up. He's just doing an epic trolling thing. It's like, I already knew Elon Musk is a fucking fascist, Nazi, racist piece of shit, whatever. Like, this is not new information. I don't need to treat it as some groundbreaking development. And it is what it is. I don't know. Just put this stuff down. Don't let it scare you if you don't need to.
Yeah, for sure. And this is the last thing I'll say. Is like these industries, like social media and the news, they like because I've seen this narrative before where people are like, oh yeah, X sucks, but like, you know, like there's this idea of like, well, I have to be on there. It's the town square of the internet. I have to read the news all day, every day, because I have to stay informed. It's like, you don't though. You don't. This is the purpose of the narrative that they push, is that you have to know all this shit. You have to like be on here. You have to
give your thoughts. You have to talk about the discourse. You have to
right.
argue about these things. No, you don't.
Right. No, you don't. You don't. And if you really need to stay informed, my recommendation is, well, I mean, like, if you're reading any news, at least make it like AP or something like that, which is like the closest we have to like an unbiased, like actual news source. Do not read the fucking New York Times or anything worse than that. It's all shit lib rags that are like owned by fucking Jeff Bezos at this point. And you certainly don't need to be on any of these like social media platforms. You don't need to be you don't need to like participate in this quote unquote discourse. You don't need to own the chuds. You don't need to own the libs. You don't need to be a part of this. Just fucking, I hate to use a term, but go fucking touch grass, man. Go touch grass. Do something that actually makes you happy, because that shit certainly doesn't.
Yeah, and you know, I think I'll just say, if you guys want to be informed, check out the entire video essays that we base our episodes off of. But if you want to be wise, subscribe to motherfucking Super Despair World, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. And,
let's do a quick Patreon shout out and then wrap it up.
But before we go, we will shout out our lovely, lovely patrons. In no particular order, we got Nilly, Heresy, Protagon, Clam, Trevor Stilson, Walker, Woke Baby, Trash Bins, Dimbus, Braid Zero, Weasel, and Nick. As always, thank you all so much for your continued love and support. We appreciate y'all, and anything that you do is okay in my book. From now on, I will support you in your endeavors.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. We love you. We'll see you next week. I'm gonna go outside right now and go toss some snowballs to work on my aim in preparation for later.
Yeah. I'm gonna go piss outside to work on my name because there's snow on the ground.
Very good.
Myself.
Make fun of how I speak. I've been stuttering all day, but fuck it, whatever. See you guys later.
All right. Good fight. Good night.